This just in breaking news, the Phoenix Suns have fired head coach Jordan Ott after just one season at the helm. Oh, wait, sorry, Stephen. That is next summer's script. My bad. And sickos unite for the second PHNX Suns show of the day, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join the inner circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. Once again, I'm Eric. Once again, that's Stephen. And once again, the man with the best nickname at PHNX, Freckled Mamba, Ayrton behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. But of course, the most important people for a second time around, everybody in the chat, Leo, Ashley, Mark, Alston, so many great friends, Patrick as well. So many of us hanging out here on a Wednesday afternoon. If you missed the earlier show today, you missed Stephen and I's initial breakdown and reactions of Jordan Ott being hired by the Phoenix Suns to replace Mike Budenholzer. We dove deep into that. We'll be talking a little bit more about that as our own Gerald Bourguet took a break in between changing diapers and wrote a nice little article. So we'll dive into that first. Then we will get into some more news from around the league. And then finally, we will be looking at options for the Suns to trade up in the lottery and select. We've got a lot of different names that we can bring for you, some late lottery, some higher lottery. But now that some time has passed, a couple of hours, Stephen, any new thoughts, feelings about Jordan Ott being hired by the Phoenix Suns?
No, nothing new. I'm just eager to see how quickly they go forward with their decision making, and how quickly is he able to kind of establish things starting with summer league. I assume or imagine he'd be coaching there and then going forward into the training camp.
Yeah, he was the Cavs summer league coach and was planning on doing that again this year. I have some thoughts on what Gerald wrote in his article. You can check that out at gophnx.com. Right now, Gerald put in work during his paternity leave, so don't let him down. But I will read a couple of quotes that were catching a lot of people's attention and my attention as well, but not nearly everything that was in this article over at gophnx.com. Let's start it off with some good stuff. Gerald writes, candidates like Johnny Bryant and Chris Quinn may have been more attractive to segments of the fan base, and Phoenix's front office was impressed with Johnny Bryant as well, but a Suns source who spoke with PHNX Sports called Ott the, quote, obvious choice, and describing him as, quote, the hardest working guy and the most basketball tactician out of anybody. Make you feel a little better about it?
Remains to be seen. Would have been no different if they said the same thing about Johnny. So
yeah,
I'm, like I said, eager to see the work.
And he follows up, obviously, Shams Charania reported that Booker was involved in the final stage of the Suns interview process and stamped Ott as the top choice. The source also confirmed to PHNX Sports that, quote, Booker loved him. And there were also things that during their interview process with Jordan Ott, Phoenix realized there were things they hadn't been doing on a basketball front, which showcased Ott's cutting-edge mind on the offensive end. Have you guys tried running sets for Devin Booker? Have you guys tried using Devin Booker in creative ways off ball? And Matt Ishbia is just like scratching his head like, oh no, I guess I never really thought of that. And then talked about his communication, defense, creativity, and work ethic have always been highlighted, including his commitment to studying league-wide trends and pathways to implementing them. That's one thing that's exciting about getting a young guy, Stephen, is the fact that hopefully he's thinking ahead rather than reacting to what the league is doing.
Yeah, a lot of that aligns with a lot of what I've kind of been asking and hoping for from whoever it was they ultimately decided on going forward. So it's good to hear those things, but we've heard a lot of good things before as well. I'm very eager to get to assessing what's actually happening and kind of being able to gauge things from there.
Yeah, then there's some stuff that people were not too thrilled about. So to put the Michigan State stuff out there, despite their shared background, Matt Ishbia and Jordan Ott, this was the first time, the interview this week was the first time that Matt Ishbia met Jordan Ott. Of course, they confirmed that he was impressed by Jordan Ott, but this is where people start pressing a little bit of a panic button, Stephen. According to another source, Ishbia emailed the Suns basketball operations team internally on Wednesday, taking accountability for not doing enough to establish a culture and identity in Phoenix. The Suns owner stated that he tried, quote, running the typical NBA owner playbook of hiring experts, signing checks, and getting out of the way, but no one was happy with the outcome. Now, despite insisting that he's not reviewing film, designing offenses, or running the draft room, Ishbia intends to be, quote, extremely active in the decisions and management, end quote. He acknowledged his more unconventional approach as an owner to ensure the Suns get back to the requisite level of winning that's been absent for the last few years. My first thought was, he signed the checks and got out of the way?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. That's probably a whole podcast in and of itself, if I'm being honest. What I will say though, I like that there's active reassessing and adjusting to what clearly did not work to the extent that it may have been desired to. I'm all for people shifting and trying things, and if they don't work, having enough humility and being able to put their pride aside to at least think and try and attempt to approach a new way to go about doing the job. That's how good turns to great. That's how bad turns to okay. Okay goes up the ladder as well. So if indeed it is true, then that's a great step in the right direction.
Well, I don't know. I'm torn on this, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, diagnosing that something was wrong is right. Like, there was something wrong, and Matt Ishbia wanting to establish a culture, that's great. Hard workers, that's great. People who are going to be, first in the gym, last out type of people in the organization. You want that. It scares me to hear that he will no longer be running the typical NBA owner playbook. That's not how I would describe Matt Ishbia's tenure. For good and for bad. Most owners don't come in and say, we're going to spend this amount of money. Yeah, a lot of them come in and have new owner syndrome and, try to make a big move, but very few challenge the CBA. Very few do big three conglomeration right after buying the team. And I don't know how you can say that when you had the sale go through and then the next day, basically, Kevin Durant gets traded to the Suns. How is that? Oh, I let the basketball people do the basketball decisions.
Yeah,
it's a little concerning about the future. I hope it works out. I know that things have to be different, but I don't blame fans, and even for myself, to see the words extremely active in decisions and management and not get a little upset and worried about it.
There's a lot of atypical instances popping up over the last year and some change now with the Suns. And I think the first indicator of that is the severe underwhelming nature of both teams from each of the past two seasons. And like I mentioned before, that's not something that's only coming from the on-court. That's permeating to other factions of the franchise right now. And I feel like this is a 5-alarm kind of assessing of everything and kind of setting a new type of tone. But again, like I mentioned with Coach Ott, all of these things sound great. They sound sensational. What does the execution look like?
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm fine with Matt Ishbia being more involved and extremely active in decisions and management if it does get you back to the requisite level of winning. I guess from my perspective, I felt like he was more involved, and so it's a little bit worrying for him to say, I want to be more involved. I want to accelerate this process. So it's like, how are we doing that, right? How are you being more involved? Is it by hiring your guys, the Michigan State guys, the Bryant Gregories and the Jordan Otts? Is it literally being in decision-making rooms when those things were happening? Like, I know that we're not going to be able to get the inside scoop on what's going on there, but if you lay out the track of things, right? So Matt Ishbia is the owner, governor of the team, right? Matt Ishbia brought Josh Bartelstein, a Michigan guy, right? Went to Michigan, but was also working with the Pistons, from that area, the area that Matt Ishbia knows and quite clearly loves. That's his number 2 in command, right? The number 2 in command stays in command after a poor couple of seasons. Then it's like, okay, let's hire somebody else. Let's go for an external hire. Oh, well, I'm going to hire my old coaching friend from MSU who doesn't have any experience being a general manager and barely any being in the front office. Okay, that is now the second or third in command. What about the next rung, the next step? Well, I'm hiring somebody who maybe I haven't met, but Tom Izzo has met, is a Michigan State guy, and is a first-time coach who, again, doesn't have experience being a head coach. Now, much more experience than Gregory for his requisite role, but still not somebody who goes in and puts the rings on the table like Pat Riley, right? Then this comes out of him saying, I'm not running the typical NBA owner playbook, and I'm not getting out of the way anymore. I'm going to actually be more involved. I've hired my friends or people that I have close ties to. I'm now going to be more involved. And if it works out, it works out. But how often do we see owners take on more responsibility than just be owners and it works out? Early Cowboys, Jerry Jones, because they were winning, and since then they've been crap. Like, is that really it? Because I can't think of an actual example of this type of stuff that ends up working out well.
Yeah, the prospects of situations where an owner has been more involved than others has not typically resulted in winning at the highest level, at least. And that transcends across multiple sports, to your point. So I definitely understand the optics of that and what that could look like. But at the same time, we also heard Bryant Gregory say that Matt firmly trusts him to do his job, and that he only answers to Matt, but Matt's put him in place to do his job.
But
so
he still answers to Matt, right?
I don't want to say it's contradictory because I don't think they're talking over one another, but it doesn't feel, since that statement's come to the surface, it doesn't feel as aligned as things maybe were prior to.
I am skeptical about what the future of that front office and that franchise is going to be. And again, I think Jordan Ott's in a bad position. And if you tuned into our show earlier, I appreciate that. If you haven't, I would highly recommend about an hour straight, no commercials, just talking ball. Okay, just talking Jordan Ott. I think he's being put in a pretty tough situation, not just from an expectation standpoint, but also, because of the ties that he has to Michigan State and the people who have made this decision. Highly recommend going and checking out Gerald's article over at gophnx.com. Again, he put in a ton of work while he was out on paternity leave, so you definitely want to help him out with that. Milo's fishing extravaganza says definitely going to watch that video. And for those of you who don't know, we will be doing breaking news podcasts on things like Kevin Durant trades, and we'll be live for the draft lottery and, of course, live at 3 p.m. all those days as well. Speaking of Kevin Durant, we have a little bit more clarity when it comes to the future of Kevin Durant after the Jordan Ott hire. This is from Shams Charania saying, with the Suns coaching hire set, they now begin the franchise's offseason of changes to the roster. The Suns will work with all-star forward Kevin Durant and his business partner, boardroom CEO Rich Kleiman, on his next landing spot. He is expected to have a robust market of approximately 4 to 6 seriously interested teams this offseason, sources said. We can also add that on these Twitter streets, some people are reporting the Spurs are a big-time destination for KD on both sides of the aisle. It now feels like that is the next step, Stephen. We've closed the chapter on what's going on with the head coach. Now let's try to figure out a Kevin Durant trade before the draft.
Yeah, it seems like that's the way things are trending, but I will continue to tap the sign on. You're still operating in a box in multiple respects until you address the biggest elephant in the room. And yes, there are multiple elephants in the room, but the biggest one, the most long-standing one, continues to be, what in the world is going on with Bradley Beal? Matt Ishbia and company, it doesn't feel like, I'm trying to say it correctly, it doesn't feel like Beal is going to be part of things going forward.
No.
And because of that, and because of, in particular, the constraints of the second tax apron, and how that hamstrings your creativity with deals, how that hamstrings what you can even send out outside of one player, that puts you in a box. It puts you in a bind in terms of optionality of deals that you might even want to entertain the thought of. I think it's better and in their best interest to figure out what they want to do on that front, what they can do on that front, because it obviously takes his participation because of the no trade clause, and then proceeding forward.
Yeah, you want ideally to figure out everything around this roster. The Beal stuff, I'm just not sure. The KD stuff, I'm feeling relatively confident that we're going to get a resolution on that. And part of that resolution is most likely going to bring some sort of draft pick compensation. It might be future draft pick compensation. It might be 2025 draft pick compensation. And of course, that means the Suns would be in the lottery. We're going to go through a bunch of names that you should keep your eye on. Maybe go watch some of their film before we go to our first break. Let's knock out all of our super chats that we have here. Thank you all so much for super chatting. If you want your chat read on screen, super chats, any price will do. Bees with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Bees. Says Jace Richardson, you are definitely a Phoenix Sun.
It could be. We'll see. Stay tuned.
If it's a lottery or if he slips, then I absolutely can see it, even though his fit I don't love here. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. Makai with 2 super chats, one for $9.99, says, still not sold with the coaching change if the roster changes a lot. Clearly the playoffs showed is teams that are together and have chemistry get to the end, something this franchise struggles with. He also adds with a $4.99 super chat, thank you, Makai, says, also Ishbia sounds impatient, and the teams I see in the finals are among the most patient. That is a great point, Makai. The patience side of things.
Yeah, that stems from belief in what you're working towards. Because if Oklahoma City listened to the masses, they would have traded for Lowry Markkanen or some other forward in the past season or two, and they probably wouldn't be where they are now because of how that undoes a ton of what they established as their foundation. Instead of going to get a big fish, they go and sign Isaiah Hartenstein as well as Alex Caruso, and they continue to quadruple down on what they've established, and look where they got.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with the Indiana Pacers. They could have traded Miles Turner for the past decade.
Yep.
But he just
they tried.
They tried. And for sure, they did. But they also hedged it at times, too, with certain trade returns that they could have potentially got for him. And I think that them being able to also find a forward like Siakam to add to everything they're doing, and you see where they're at now as well.
I think impatient is a good way to put it, and let's hope that Jordan Ott gets a little bit more patience from Matt Ishbia and company. Psycho Blue with a $10 super chat says, Basketball Cthulhu wonders if Ishbia is jumping ahead of something that came out during the basketball operations during his audit that leads to more lawsuit and scandals when discovered with the, quote, set the tone. Maybe, I don't know. At this point, that's just all speculation. So I'm not going to dive too deep into that. I don't think that that's the motivation behind it, but of course we don't really know what's going on. Tony asks, Eric, how is your dad? Hope he's great. Dad's good. Dad's driving up to Sedona right now. Was dropping off my car. Here's a little behind the scenes, dropping off my rear-ended car to the dealership to get fixed earlier today. And that is when the Jordan Ott news broke. So my dad who was driving me then to get a rental car, instead of driving me there, drove me home so that I could do my broadcast from home. So yes, he's doing good. And he was very confused by the Jordan Ott hire. Did not like it. Okay. We've got draft prospects that the Suns can target in the lottery, and we're bringing them to you right after this break. Let me just grab my Shady Rays, because Shady Rays saves my life. Now, I'm weird. I'm a weird guy. I got weird things going on about me. And one of the things that I've learned about myself is that I am alone in the fact that when it's bright outside, my eyes really, really hurt. They're super sensitive, and I feel hotter. I feel like my internal body temperature is hotter when it's bright outside. And that's why when I wear Shady Rays, I feel cool, I look cool. But the best part is, if I lose or break my Shady days, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair, no guilt trip, just replacements. They changed the game. They're not stupidly expensive. I break my sunglasses all the time. Notoriously, these have been holding up for a long, long, long time now. So big shout out to Shady Rays. It's the eyewear that has your back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com. Use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Plus, like I mentioned, it's getting hot, which means when you are inside, you have your AC on. And if you have your AC on, it means you're spending lots of money. With APS, you can get a smart thermostat that helps you with that. If you're on an APS time of use plan, use your smartphone or device to automatically adjust your smart thermostat to take advantage of lower cost off-peak hours. And did you know that nearly half of energy costs come from cooling and heating your home? But get smart, maximize your comfort and convenience, all while minimizing energy costs with a smart thermostat from APS. Plus, right now, APS customers may be eligible for their smart thermostats for as low as $0 when you enroll in the APS Cool Rewards program. Just make sure that you can also know how to install your smart thermostat. But if you don't, free install is also available at the APS Marketplace. Find instant rebates, discounts, and special offers on smart thermostats, energy-efficient appliances, and more at marketplace.aps.com. Must be an APS customer and pay shipping and taxes. Other restrictions apply. Go to marketplace.aps.com for more information. Russell, Ted, you in the chat, Stephen, Alston, Kaylee, Ashley. What's up, Cupcake Thunder? Saying just deadlift shrimp out of nowhere. Love that. Sean as well. So many of our psychos and sickos hanging out with us, talking a little draft. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. 5-star reviews go a long way. Shout out to everybody on YouTube after the fact. We've got like 9 names that we're going to be going through. So not everybody in the lottery. We won't be talking about Cooper Flag. We know the likelihood of that is very low.
The lottery is only 14.
Yeah, we've got a lot of guys.
Basically.
Some that might jump up in the lottery,
Yeah,
some
sure.
that might be top 5, and we do have a top 3 pick that we'll be talking about today as well. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it, Steven. The first player that you picked is somebody who has been skyrocketing up draft boards. Started as a projected 2nd-round pick. Now he can go as high as the lottery. We're talking Drake Powell out of North Carolina, a freshman guard and forward, 7.4 points per game, 3.4 rebounds per game, 1.1 assists per game, shooting 56.9% from 2, 37.9% from deep, averaging just under a block per game at 0.7. The stats don't jump off the page, Steven. So why is it that Drake Powell is jumping up draft boards?
Because box scores do not accurately entail oftentimes a defensive impact of an individual player. What's not included on that, because it's not a traditional box score stat, opponent shot 38% from 2.
Jeez.
Against Powell. Mind you, this is in the ACC. So these are no slouches that he's going up against in any capacity on any night. To be that great defensively in the context of play that he defends in, a ton of pick and roll, a ton of isolation. And to be so stout, to be so consistent, and to be so active and honestly chaotic in a conducive way to a defense upholding and playing into an offense.
Yeah.
All these things I'm asking to see from the Suns, from their defensive process going forward. It's going to be heavy on the center position. It's going to be heavy on point of attack defenders, multiple. He would add to that in spades and bring a different flair to the point of attack defense that Ryan Dunn brings.
Sean asked me to take my Shady Raids off.
Yeah, I was going to mention
Come on, y'all are so lame.
Hey, I didn't say that was him. That was him. I didn't say that.
So lame.
He just said I look fine and you were over here doing too much.
Wow Factor says we need scoring. Here's the thing with Drake Powell. Yeah, the scoring is not exactly what you want out of him, but from the same franchise that evaluated Ryan Dunn, and we've seen what Ryan Dunn has done for this franchise over the past year. If you feel like you can build some sort of offensive skill set, now he is wildly athletic, maybe top 1 percentile athlete in this draft.
Yeah.
He is the prototypical jump out the gym type of guy. I believe he had the highest vertical at the draft combine, and he can turn that into finishing at the rim. He's very athletic. When he gets to the rim, he's good at shifting his body and finishing in different ways and flying through contact. So there is a skill there. Now, of course, the jump shot isn't amazing. Not something you'd build around. I would say it's probably slightly better than Ryan Dunn's when he was at Virginia. So you could take for that what you would want as well. But he would be your main, probably point of attack defender on guards. And Ryan Dunn would maybe take the slightly bigger as far as point of attack goes.
And they could certainly switch.
And they could switch.
Sure.
I don't know if they're at the point where they could play together unless Ryan Dunn's 3-point shot is like it was at the beginning of the year. But you are ensuring that you have relatively good on-ball pressure for however many minutes both of those guys can play. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know if I would take him with 10 or anything above 10, but if you swing into the late lottery,
what I'm looking at.
late lottery, or if he slides and you trade up to 20 or to 18 and maybe the raw prospects aren't as much there with him, would be very high on his fit with the Suns. Yeah. Definitely love the defensive side of that as well.
Offensively, though.
Yeah.
Yes, he's flawed. The loudest thing that people are going to want to point at is shooting. But there's so much more that you can do on the basketball court than just shoot the ball. The Oklahoma City Thunder are not the best three-point shooting team comprehensively. But they still find ways to have great impact on offense because of the system that they're operating in, first of all, and the principles they uphold, but their abilities in multiple capacities to cut and to be able to attack and put the ball on the deck in particular more than anything else. It's death by 1,000 cuts and death by 1,000,000 drives against the Oklahoma City Thunder for defenses. He's a player that can very easily put the ball on the deck. He's great with attacking closeouts. He's really good with his triple threat going either direction. And when he gets a piece of the paint, he's able to just elevate over most people and then show off that top percentile athleticism that he has for this draft in particular.
And we've mentioned what fits well next to Devin Booker. Smart athletes, right? Yeah, you want the shooting. You can find the shooting, but you definitely need somebody like Drake Powell. Again, like we mentioned, we're not taking him with top 10 picks, but maybe end of the lottery if some of these other prospects that we talk about are not there. Somebody we did talk about last week that we're going to revamp and look at again is Asa Newell, who is just all around a dog for the Georgia Bulldogs. 15.4 points per game, 6.9 rebounds per game, shot 29.2% from deep, 62.7% from two, averaged 2 stocks per game, evenly split out into 1 steal and 1 block per game. This is somebody I would be thrilled with, Stephen. We talked last week, but I would say as high as 8 if the Suns trade up. If they really like him, I'd be happy with Asa Newell on this team.
Yeah, another high-level athlete. Another extremely versatile defender. He's bigger than Powell is, so that gives him a little bit more, maybe even 10 or 15% more versatility, being able to guard up more effectively, but also naturally guard down as well. Just a straight dog. And again, a lot of what the decision makers are hoping to establish with this Suns group is to have individuals that have a certain motor that you don't have to press a button to get out of them because it's baked into their foundation. You need dogs, you want toughness. He's a player that aligns directly with that, no different than, but even unique to in the ways that Powell does so.
I think what I really like about him is the pressure that he puts on the rim. His size, he uses it really well. He's not massive, but he's not small. Let me get his official measurements here. 6'11", pretty big, 220, listed as a guard, but obviously he's not a guard. Instantly comes in with the best paint presence on the team. He has some playmaking presence as well. The jumper looks smooth, to be completely honest with you. He's a lefty. The jumper does not look broken at all. I could easily see him turning into a pick and pop type option with Devin Booker. Probably ideally suited to play the 4, but is tall enough to play the 5 interiorly. His defense is pretty dang good as well. He's got good instincts, good athleticism to go there. I think this would be an all-around home run pick for the Suns. What's the highest you would take, Asa Newell?
That's the question that I kind of, I'm not going to say I was in limbo with, but I was just kind of caught on to where I never really made a definitive decision. If we said 14 for Powell, I would probably say I would take him at 10.
I would probably take Asa as high as 8.
As high as 8.
I think the size profile being 6'11", over 200 pounds, like 6'11", 220, 15.4 points per game in college is
still very much a work in progress.
And still, and there's still a lot of raw potential there as well. The jump shot's not where you want it to be, but 29.2% from 3, and when he takes it, it looks decent. Let me look at how many attempts per game he had from deep. He averaged almost 3 attempts per game, hit almost one of them, 2.7 to 0.8. Is a true freshman as well. So very, very, very young. Now, he shot 74.8% from the free throw line, which does indicate that he can get a little bit of a smoother jumper out from deep. Playmaking needs a little bit of work. He's not the best, but only averaged 2.4 personal fouls and 1.1 turnovers. And from the center position, especially in college, those two things can come in abundance. And to have somebody who doesn't make a lot of mistakes as a very athletic rim contesting big and one that doesn't turn the ball over a ton either, those are two things the Suns really need out of the center position, and he does solve the problem that you have with Inoso Ighodaro, which is the size part of it. Plus, you would have the best jumper, I think, out of your big men. Although this is so weird and random, I mean to bring this up. I had a dream the other day, and in that dream, Nick Richards was taking and nailing super long twos. Like, I'm talking like KG foot on the line twos, and we were just going nuts. So that's what I dreamt about, like 3 or 4 days ago, just so you know. That's how you know I'm a psycho and a sicko, man.
Well, thank y'all for joining us. You can find us on No,
could be worse. Could be dreaming about a lot worse.
I don't want you to speak that.
I was dreaming about Nick Richards hitting the mini Jimbo, man.
Nick getting the Porzingis bump.
Yeah. Sean says, Eric, that sentence started out very Listen, it's been a long day. And it's going to get longer after this break because I will be talking about a University of Arizona prospect, Carter Bryant, one that you brought to the table, Stephen, and one that I will reluctantly say is good right after our second break. Circle K, it's the best. I know it's a completely different tagline, but it's true because Circle K is the best. We just got restocked. Looking at the sign up here, we just got restocked with a bunch of snacks here at Studio K, presented by Circle K. I'm talking peanut butter pretzels, dark chocolate covered almonds, if you know, you know, sea salt and malt vinegar, kettle cooked chips, whole almonds, sweet and spicy mixed nuts, hot jalapeno chips. Oh, I had the kettle cooked sea salt and cracked pepper chips the other day, and they were delectable. Plus, you can get them all for a discounted price if you join the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle is the best place for you to save money, and all you have to do with this free membership program is put in your phone number, put in your email. You're saving 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off per gallon every day after that, plus plenty of other member-exclusive deals and discounts on drinks and snacks. So join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. Love talking about our friends over at Bet365. They are my favorite place to put down a little cash. The NBA Finals is coming up. Tomorrow, I'll be giving you my picks, 3 of my picks for the finals on Bet365. Appreciate all of you who have been tracking along with our Bet365 competition last season. Whoever won that, I'm not sure. But if you want to join Bet365, you get $150 in bonus bets. New customers, when you bet $5, win or lose, sign up. Use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and get $150 in bonus bets. When your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, features, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Woo! This is gonna suck. The next prospect that we are talking about today, Stephen, Arizona's Carter Bryant. Stats don't jump off the page, much like Drake Powell, but my lord, the eye test is in love with this kid. 6.5 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 1 assist per game, shot 58.2% from inside the three-point line, 37.1% from deep, 1 block per game as well. What is it about Carter Bryant that makes him what feels like a surefire lottery pick and possibly a surefire top 10 pick?
He's probably the best balanced of the 3 names that I'm bringing to today's pod. And while not giving up any leverage on the defensive end of the floor amongst those 3 players either. I think all 3 will project out and literally end up being top-level defenders in multiple respects based off of the skills and the athleticism that they bring unique to their dynamic. Carter's also, like I mentioned, not to ignore the offensive side, but on that side of the floor, also a good 3-point shooter.
Yeah, smooth 3-point shooter.
In a very complimentary way, where he's probably my favorite part about his game. The defense, of course, but on offense, the quick decision making. He gets the ball, he's ripping and going, he's moving it to another person, or if he's off the ball, he's cutting. He understands how to create advantage. And I think that if we're talking about, like I talked about earlier with Jordan Ott, what I'm hoping to see from his offense is dynamic spacing. Not static spacing where you have 5 players spaced around the court and someone that starts in one spot might end up finishing the possession at that same spot because of the principles established. I don't imagine that's what Ott's going to have going on, and Carter Bryant aligns directly with that.
Yeah. Wow Factor says Carter is a risk. Andre says, I don't know about taking guys from U of A in the lottery anymore.
What's the highest you would take Carter Bryant? Would you take him as high as 8 as you would with Newell? Yeah.
All right. This is going to hurt.
Go ahead and Woosah, do what you got to do.
He's no longer a member of the University of Arizona, so I can say this. I think Carter Bryant is going to be damn good in the NBA. 6'8", 225, great wingspan, incredible instincts, has all the tools to be a really good defensive talent, a switchable point of attack defender, somebody that can get down into the paint, match up with somebody who's a little bit bigger than him, quick enough to guard on the perimeter as well.
Yep.
The 3-point shot is not exactly where you would want it to be, and the free throw percentage is just under 70% as well. But the jump shot itself looks smooth. Fundamentally, there's nothing broken about it either. When you watch him play and he hits it, it makes sense. He hit just over 1 per game on less than 3 attempts, so 37%. It's something, not a high volume shooter, but he did hit it. Also, the 70% on free throws was on 1.6 free throw attempts per game. He also averaged almost a steal per game as well. Came up in big moments in the tournament as well. I think that if you're at 10, let's say you trade up and you get your pick back from the Houston Rockets at 10, and some of the other players that we're going to talk about later that I have really high on my draft board that go in the top 10 are gone, I would be thrilled if the Suns drafted Carter Bryant.
So you would take him at 8?
I'd take him at 8. I would take him at 10. And if he dropped, I would trade up for him. And if you want a stamp of approval for a kid, just know that I say that completely begrudgingly and that I hate him. But I'm calling a spade a spade. This is the Suns show. This isn't the ASU show. He is a damn good basketball player, and I think he is a worthy top 10 pick.
One of the player comps that I saw for him, and this is one that definitely resonates with me, for players that have helped to take teams from being good to being championship winning, Trevor Ariza. Now, if you think about...
Don't say that name around here.
Yeah, I know.
That's
and that's
tough.
why I'm going to dive into what I'm diving into. So if you think about him in his latter years, your assessment of Trevor Ariza's impact is going to be skewed. But if you think about him in his years from his first season with the Houston Rockets to his time with the Lakers in particular, you see a player that is a glue piece, just a time-on-tasker, a blue-collar guy. You need him to do something, he can do it on a defensive end. He's taking on matchups 1 through 3, sometimes at 4. And in a modern sense, Carter Bryant is going to be guarding 5s at times when he gets to the NBA level. On the offensive end, you have someone with high IQ off the ball, doesn't need it in his hands to have impact. 50-50 ball, second chance opportunities, he can go and find those because of his size and his preemptive decision-making. Great cutter, sensational cutter. Also a 3-and-D type of player. So you give him catch and shoot 3-point opportunities, which Carter Bryant would get a ton of off of Devin Booker. That's exactly the type of position he would be in.
His ceiling is just the ultimate prototypical, not even just 3-and-D. There's a little bit more than that.
I don't want to put him in the box.
Athletic 3-and-D wing that can guard all 5 positions and hit threes. Now, does he hit that ceiling? It's tough, for sure. He's very, very raw. He has a lot that he needs to work on as far as each individual skill, but I do think that he has the ability to do that. Yep. We have Brent in the chat saying Yegor Demon, which is how you pronounce his name. It's not Igor Demon, which I wish it was. Should 100% be our pick. Tall, smart, good in transition. He has to be our pick at 10. We are going to be talking about the Demon Man later on this show. We've got a couple more names before we get there, though. Any final thoughts on Carter Bryant?
I don't think it would hurt to also have a local kid that just got done with the tenure at one of the universities, maybe not Erik's favorite per se, but
The wrong
to
university.
have done well at said university as well,
Yeah.
that would be a way to kind of help bridge the gap with some fans as well.
I like what Leo said. Imagine Carter Bryant and Ryan Dunn on the court together. I do think that the offensive ceiling with Carter Bryant is high enough that those two could share the floor together, and a 3-4 of that with another versatile center defensively is very intriguing. And if that center can shoot threes, then we're talking about one hell of a 3-4-5 around Devin Booker.
Yeah.
We ready to move on? How about a man with a great name, one letter away from having a perfect name, Derek Queen. Derek Queen, a freshman center out of Maryland, 16.5 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, 1.9 assists per game, shot 55.8% from inside the arc, and averaged just over 2.2 stocks per game, split up evenly between blocks and steals. Derek Queen would walk in on the Suns at 6'10", 246 with the best interior touch. He would be the best jump shooting big that this team has had since DeAndre Ayton, and would be a good offensive plug and play with Devin Booker. What stands out to you about the all freshman Derek Queen?
It's the offensive versatility. So you talk about the shot profile for front court pieces that you would like around Devin Booker based off the attention he gets, but also to play off of the ways that defenses have to guard him as well when he has a live dribble. Derek Queen has all of the makings of a player that could execute in those advantages. The touch below the free throw line on all the soft touch, the hook shots, half hook shots, floaters, runners, he has all of that. And I think that him also being able to go and do things on his own, you can throw it to him in the mid post, you can throw it to him on the block, you can throw it to him at the elbow. He can navigate to spaces where he's comfortable to finish, and he's crafty with his footwork as well. Very, very skilled on
Crafty
offense.
enough to travel against Colorado State. Sorry.
And I think we do a great job prefacing with that. Or also, he's also a really good rebounder too.
Yeah.
Did you want to have any positives? Because the negatives are loud.
Yeah, there are some loud negatives for him. I do see a lot of the positives as far as skill goes at that position. I think skill-wise, he slots in as a really good modern 4. I have some concerns about him being a 5 defensively for sure. I am a little bit worried about how that touch and how that skill translates to today's NBA, considering how he uses it with lots of post moves. He doesn't have the same towering size that a lot of centers have. And as a 4, if you want somebody who's a little bit on the slower end with post touches and whatnot, you know, it's a little concerning with him on the next level. That being said, he is extremely young, and the amount of talent and the skill that he's been able to show in his position and to step up in big positions in the tournament as well. There is something to be said about the mental capacity, but you mentioned some of the weaknesses. I think we dive into that. I'm not super high on him being the Suns' pick, but if he was, I think I could talk myself into some of the strengths.
I just can't imagine them picking him if he is the best player that's available when their turn comes around. I could certainly see them trading back to try to get something else.
I would rather take Thomas Sorber with a later pick out of Georgetown than Derek Queen with a higher pick. Yeah. And I would honestly maybe have Sorber just straight up over Queen for an NBA comp personally.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I feel you. I don't like the kind of flags, the red flags around his name right now that are kind of questioning conditioning and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm not one to usually assess those things, but if I was watching college prospects and that's something that comes up, that's certainly something that has to be noted.
Plus, he's not the most like naturally gifted athlete.
And that's what I'm getting at, because some of the weaknesses that he has outside of conditioning feel like they could be at least better suited for success if he is in better shape.
Yeah, the conditioning, the athleticism at his size, he has a lot of some of the similar question marks to me that there's a certain archetype of college player that I would also put Janai Broom in. Now, I will say that I would much rather have Derek Queen than a Janai Broom, and the boards all reflect that. But the lack of athleticism, the reliance on physicality and touch interior and not pure size, when you translate to the NBA, it is definitely a tough sell when you do make that next leap up to the NBA, where everybody is 10 times better than a majority of the competition that you're playing on a night in, night out basis. Not my ideal pick. Right? And B says any center we have has to be athletic. Just not somebody that I see as a surefire starter on this team one day. He is somebody that I think could have a long career in the NBA. I don't know if he's a lottery pick for me.
Also can't be having. I can't see the Suns bringing in a center, in particular center that has defensive deficiencies. Yeah. Not even question marks, just deficiencies. Yeah. That's probably got to be your strong suit at worst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially for a team that when you're building around Devin Booker, a stretch big is great, but you're going to need to get your interior defense because your perimeter defense feels a little bit better with Ryan Dunn, and you can ask Oso to protect the rim like that. So
what Ashley said.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like he aligns.
No, it does not sound like he aligns. This next guy just might, though. Let's talk about Kon Murray Boyles. I'll be honest, terrible name. Fantastic prospect out of South Carolina, a sophomore, 16.8 points per game, 5.7 rebounds per game, 2.4 assists per game, shooting 62.2% from the field inside the three-point arc. And then again, 2 stocks per game split evenly between steals and blocks. The first thing that stands out to me, Stephen, is the size and the length of Kon Murray Boyles as well. Let me pull up his exact measurables, but along with the measurables, he has the athleticism. He's 6'7", 231, can jump out of the gym, has decent touch as well, is not a three-point shooter. He only took 1 per game this season, only hitting 26.5% of it, but he is a 70% free throw shooter for a sophomore season at South Carolina. This is somebody personally I would not mind the Suns reaching for. If they trade up to 8, maybe 6, 7, 8 area, I think there's potential there. At 10, I think he's a home run pick.
So when I think about some of the better, and this is not a apples to apples comparison, but some of the dynamics that he brings to the floor, can't lie to you, it kind of reminds me of Drew Holiday in certain instances.
But a 6'7", 231.
Yes, and that's why I said it's not apples to apples, but it's the instinct. It's the anticipation on defense, the motor skills that he has, the hand-eye coordination type of things. It's those things in particular for me that really stand out when you kind of watch the film in detail. And the ability to be so active and to cause so much chaos that leads to offense for your defense and for your team, that's every bit of what the Suns will be looking for in most players that they're looking to add to their team context going forward. He has that in droves.
Yes, he absolutely does have that in droves. Somebody in the chat says there's no world where he's better than Derek Queen. College player wise, I would say Derek Queen is probably a better player, specifically just in college, but he was 2024, 2025 all SEC. The season before that, he was all freshman for SEC. I just think as a pro, his build, his positional, and his strengths just lend so much more to the modern NBA. I remember I was listening to the Timeline Pod, love those guys over there, and they were comparing him a little bit to a Draymond Green. Now 2.46 per game or 2.1 for his career isn't fantastic, but an undersized guy that would probably you'd want to slide over and play some 5 for you, considering the lack of touch from the outside, lack of three-point shooting. Yeah. Is that something you could project him doing in the NBA, sliding over to a 5 spot role?
I think so. We've seen, Oklahoma City literally earlier this season, Jalen Williams, and naturally them getting the lessons they learned from that, ultimately allowing them to finish and get to the finals through the conference finals this season.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot more prospects for you, including Igor Demon or Igor Demon, Maluach out of Duke, another Duke player, and Kon Knuepple, some great names. And we'll even talk about Dylan Harper, and we'll do it all after our last break. All Pro Shade Concepts is a place that you can trust. Voted #1 by Ranking Arizona for patio shades in 2024, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating with over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. But what is it that people trust them to do? Well, it's extending their outdoor living space with custom fit awnings, hundreds of designs and colors to choose from to match any home, motorized and can retract with a remote control, and all with LED lighting to light up your patio under the awning. Roll down patio shades block out the sun and keep the patio up to 20 degrees cooler with hundreds of colors and durable fabric thick to withstand the AZ sun. Choose from manual or motorized, sealed track or cable shades. In the winter, drop-down shades also create an outdoor living space that keeps cold wind out and warm air in. All Pro Shade Concepts can also replace and fix most old or outdated patio shades and motorized awnings as well. In business for over 20 years in the Valley. Started making window shades by hands for friends and family in Phoenix. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com right now to schedule your free trial. We love All Pro Shade Concepts, also love Mountain America Credit Union, and right now, breaking news, until July 31st, you can get 2 times the points on rewards credit card purchases through July 31st for the over 1 million members at Mountain America Credit Union throughout their 100 branches throughout the West. Use your Mountain America rewards card to watch the points pile up. It's perfect for gas, groceries, travel, home projects, and all other purchases. This promotion is an easy way for you to stretch your dollar since you earn twice as many rewards. Redeem your double points for rewards like travel rebates, gift cards, and event tickets as well for a limited time only. Take advantage of it while you can. You can figure out details at macu.com/double. You can also check out the Mountain America Credit Union My Style checking account as well. Of course, loans are on approved credit. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. A limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply, but get 2 times the points on the rewards credit card purchases from now until July 31st with Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/double. B says, get my super chat in so SPG can wax poetic about Michigan State basketball. Let's go ahead and let's read the super chat from our friend Bees. B says, I don't get the MSU hate. There are worse programs to try and model from. MSU has a strong culture and has been one of the better teams perennially.
I mean, Bees just said it all. There's a pedigree. There's prerequisites that you have to have before you can even get in the door at Michigan State. And those guys all move with a certain type of blue-collar edge to them. If we're talking about on the sports side. And in the NBA, there's no louder than you can say what you want about Draymond Green, but the qualities that he has, no different than I just got done saying yesterday with players like Dylan Brooks. You have to walk the line and honestly sometimes go past that line because of the edge that you play with and your team needing that. The Warriors don't win the multiple championships that they've gotten over the last 10, 15 years without Draymond playing with that style of edge. Similarly, but unique to his own, you don't get a defensive player of the year out of Triple J without him moving in the ways in which he has as well. So those two being the most prime examples of that, but there are multiple other players, Zach Randolphs, that have come through the league that have had that type of edge, and it always stands out as very, very, very unique.
You just don't see this in the NBA. You just don't model NBA franchises after a college program,
of course not.
right?
I'm
so
not
it's like
ignoring that
it's
part.
like I'm not trying to hate
Definitely
on
not
MSU, but it's
ignoring
still
that
like,
part.
what the hell are we doing here?
For sure.
Right?
I'm definitely not ignoring that part.
Wow Factor says, I got a question. If the Suns get the number 10 pick, can they do a deal with Atlanta for 13 and 22, get Neek Clifford and Fleming, maybe even get more seconds if that looks good? I do think this is a draft that you could trade back if you get the lottery and get some good wings, whether it is a Fleming, whether that is a Neek Clifford as well. That's definitely something that I would be looking at if I was the Suns.
Of course. That's what we talked about last week.
Yep. All right.
Sure.
Let's talk about BYU. Yegor Demon, or Igor Demon, as I call him, a freshman out of Russia, but also played for BYU. 10.6 points per game, 3.9 rebounds per game, 5.5 assists per game, shot 55.3% from inside the arc, 27.3% from deep, 1.2 steals per game as well. When it comes to the measurables with Igor, that is where he really does stand out. He's a guard, but he is 6'9", 190. Was part of the Real Madrid system out in Spain as far as basketball goes. What stands out to you about Yegor Demon?
The size enables him versatility on defense, and then offensively, he's still a work in progress in terms of making decisions on the ball. But when he's off it, the high IQ and the ways in which he understands how to make the most of advantages when off it, it helps with everything. Understands how to cut, understands relocation in particular as a shooter off the ball, and being able to execute within the advantages that in particular creates. Very fun to watch when he's off it, and I think that's something that will translate extremely well to the NBA level, especially given his international ties.
Yeah.
And like we talked about in episodes before, the IQ that comes with those players as a foundation level, and it's truly a skill.
Now, he took a lot of threes per game in college, 4.7 3-point attempts per game, shot 27.3%, so made just over one per game. But if he can add that consistently, this dude could be a problem in the league. Are there any weaknesses for him that you worry about? I mean, 6'9", 190 is pretty thin, but if he's playing guard, that could be okay. Maybe it's the jump shot, free throw percentage, 69.5% as well. Anything that stands out to you as a potential worry?
Yeah, obviously the jump shot part, you need the efficiency on that if he's going to be playing that position in particular. But I kind of hinted at it before I got to his off the ball. That's the shot creation part, whether he's creating shots for himself or for others. There's some fine-tuning, work and kind of rawness to his game that he needs to work out. I think he can get to a point where his shot creation for himself and others is passable, but taking precedent over that obviously is going to be the catch-and-shoot three-point shooting.
Is he somebody you would take at 10?
10 might be too high for me just because of the questions about the shooting, while the defense doesn't hit to the extent that the other players we spoke to do from that wing and guard position. So 10 would probably be too high for me personally. I'd take him at 14.
Okay.
But I don't know if I would go as far as to say at 10.
Ted asks, is Demon a Josh Giddey type? I don't think the playmaking style there with Giddey. I think he's a little bit more well-rounded offensively than Giddey was.
Yeah.
Size-wise, though.
But he also, like, the shot creation part. Like, Josh is not a three-point shooter, but he's never struggled to get his own shot off or create for others with the dribble himself. So, don't think that's a good comp, but I see what you're getting at with it.
All right. I want to talk about a dude named Kon Knuepple.
I mean, we heard it all March, so literally all March.
I was telling Ayrton, we did a PHNX Sun Devils postgame show for the charity exhibition between Duke and ASU, and we were just dying laughing at just saying Kon Knuepple over again. But damn, he's good. Let's talk about Duke's freshman sensation, Kon Knuepple, 14.4 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 2.7 assists per game, shot 56.7% from inside the arc, 40.6% from deep, 91.4% from the free throw line. There is no doubt about it. Stephen, at 6'7", 217, this kid is a damn sniper.
Yeah. All of those traits and qualities that made JJ Redick one of the best movement shooters of all time. He has all of those, and he has positive positional size that gives him opportunity to sustain at levels that JJ maybe even couldn't. That's a problem, especially when
that's a high ceiling. Yeah,
he has a shot that's hard to contest. You add the fact that he's more than comfortable shooting in movement, whether it be to his right or to his left. His footwork is really good. I forgot whose name it is, the college broadcaster that always talks about getting those puppies in order. But he's a person that always has his puppies in order and stays on balance, and his efficiency aligns directly with that consistency there. Just a great high IQ player. You can never have enough of those guys. Just don't know if that's the archetype the Suns should be targeting, even if they do find a way to get into the lottery. What about you?
It's tough, man. NCAA All-Region Team, 2024, 2025 All-ACC Tournament Team, ACC All-Freshman, and the ACC Tournament MVP. This guy is just a hooper, man. He is such a good shooter. You could never have enough shooting. He doesn't have the same size problems as you would have with a Grayson Allen or a Royce O'Neal. He would slot in real well at that 3 and the 2. I'm wondering your perspective on his defense, because when you're that good of a shooter, but you're that size, are you going to be attacked on defense? Is that something that you can see him holding up with in the NBA?
And that's my thing. You can't have more than one pigeon, some people call them. I call them Waldos, for a defense to match up hunt to. You can't have more than one of those guys on the court if you're talking about contending or even just getting to the playoff realm, honestly. Because of that, I just don't know if the Suns are the team for him. Now, if they plan on overhauling their roster and making it to where he can be insulated in ways that his defense doesn't have a negative impact for the team, if that's the case, then I'm all for it, because he could be a Dalton Connect type that has that type of impact for a team early on in his rookie campaign.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was kind of thinking with Connect is this is the kind of guy that maybe you don't take if you get really high in the lottery. Like we'll talk about Dylan Harper later, obviously the projected number 2 overall pick. San Antonio holds that pick. It's worth talking about him. If he does slide to you, let's say you have 10, I think if you slide to 10, he's the best value that you're going to get at 10. It's tough because you're right. Some of the strengths that he has does not fit what this current Suns team needs, but he's the type of player that can play alongside Book. He's the type of guy that could play alongside Ryan Dunn. Right? Realistically, those are your 2 building blocks for your team right now. So it does fit. It just maybe doesn't fit as much. Boom Shakalaka says the Suns have the 28th pick, ? No, we have the 29th pick. But of course, the Kevin Durant trade might be able to bring them a higher one as well. Any other thoughts on Kon Knuepple? I know he doesn't fit as much as some of these other players that we've talked about.
Yeah, I just don't know how inclined they are for an offensive specialist. It's not the same as Derek Queen, but he has a specific skill set that he plays to. And I'm just wondering if they're looking for someone that has a little bit more well-roundedness or someone that aligns with the defensive end of the floor more if they do end up trading up.
Yeah. I think if he slides, definitely keep an eye out for him.
If he slides.
If he slides to the end of the lottery and the Suns have that pick, I think you draft Kon Knuepple.
Sure.
There's so much potential there, and you can never have too many guys that, I mean, shooting 40.6% from deep and 91.4% as a freshman.
How many attempts was that?
As far as 3-point attempts go, he was averaging 5.3 attempts per game, making 2.2 attempts per game, which is just ridiculous. Only played 30.5 minutes per game as well, which that could have definitely gone up. Taking 3.3 free throws a game, hitting 3 of them, so barely ever missing from the line. Also, decent rebounder, decent playmaker, averaged about a steal per game as well. Didn't turn the ball over a ton. Just a good, solid player. He's gonna be a good pro.
And I'll say real quick to that point, this works both ways, and I'll explain it quickly. The 3-point line on the collegiate level is closer than the NBA 3-point line. That obviously aids 3-point percentage and efficiency, but the caveat to that, which also works for players that maybe don't shoot it as well in college, but potentially could shoot better from 3 in the league, that means the 3-point line is 2 steps further away for defenses to close out to. So for him to shoot 41% from deep on north of 5 attempts, considering the speed of the closeouts that are coming to him, and obviously on the scouting report, and bold and highlights, is do not leave this guy open.
Yeah.
Put that to someone like Newell that didn't shoot it nearly as well as he did. He might benefit from having that space just because now that closeout 2 steps further away, contests are less effective, and they're probably going to leave him open early on to let him kind of prove his worth.
If you're watching on TV, the party always continues over at gophnx.com. It's time for overtime. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us for the second podcast from PHNX Suns today. Of course, if you missed our breaking news podcast about Jordan Ott, that was earlier today. Plus, at the beginning of this episode, we rounded up some other things as well when it came to Jordan Ott in Gerald's article at gophnx.com. Also at gophnx.com in our events tab, you can join our Diamondbacks pool party on July 3rd. Make sure you sign up for that. If you are a diehard, you can get that for 20% off. All right. We've talked about a lot of prospects. I've got 2 left for you, and I'm very, very high on this next one. Could go as high as the top 3, could also slide to number 10 or below. It's freshman center out of Duke, Khaman Maluach. 8.6 points per game, 6.6 rebounds per game, a half an assist per game, 75.4% from 2, shot 25% exactly from 3, averaged over a block per game at 1.3. Big fan of Maluach's game and how it fits with Devin Booker and the Suns as well. Stephen, do you agree with my highness on Maluach?
Interesting choice of words.
By the way, 7'2", 250.
Yeah.
Just so everybody is aware.
Yeah, he's a skyscraper for sure. I'm in on him, and it's because the versatility in projection, but the versatility that we can already assess in this present moment in time now. The Blue Devils don't get to where they got to ultimately this season without his ability to be versatile on defense against high-level offenses and against high-level individual guards and individual player dynamics. That's something that if you can find a way to have impact from that on the collegiate level, it's going to translate to the NBA level. Yes, there will be more space, but when you have the size that he's working with in terms of his frame, his tangibles, his measurables, that can be something that really builds your defense around. And I imagine someone like Jordan Ott is going to want a center of his cloth to be cut from that's man in that position going forward.
If Maluach played at a different school, he would average 15 points per game.
Yeah.
He was playing with Cooper Flagg, Kon Knuepple, and the rest of the Duke roster that went on to win the national championship, right? He was being a part of a good team. He's 7'2", 250. Steven, does he move like he is 7'2", 250?
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. For everybody who wants a center who can control and protect the rim, switch out on the perimeter, just be an all-encompassing defensive powerhouse, a lob threat as well, an enforcer on that end. I'm a big fan of Maluach. A lot of people are saying that they would rather have a Kalkbrenner at 29, a Yannick Niederhauser, or whatever his name was, Yannick Conan Niederhauser, in the second round. I'm really high on Maluach as a defensive prospect. I think he's the best defensive center in the draft, and that's somebody that you could pair alongside Devin Booker for a long time.
Yep, and there's a ton of upside with him too, because I think he's a late bloomer in terms of when he actually picked up a basketball as well.
Yeah, I think he started in the NBA Academy in Africa, playing in Senegal. He's from South Sudan. I believe he was on the South Sudan team this past summer.
Which shout out to Lou Aldain for getting that entity of the NBA established overseas. There's been a ton of talent and will be tons of more to come from that. But I think because of that, he's still learning and picking up on things instinct-wise and also even more so skill development-wise.
Yeah.
That's something that could hit for you maybe a year or two down the line in ways that you might not see right now.
He only played 21 minutes per game, by the way. So these stats, 8.6, 6.6, that's in 21 minutes a game. Now, part of that is he's picking up 2 fouls per 21 minutes per game, which is something that you worry about a little bit. But again, it's something that I think if he's there at 10, I think you take him at 10.
Yep, and that's the upside part that I'm speaking to. He's learning still, but the learning can come with impact immediately upon coming to the NBA.
Rao says, why do you think the Suns can get the number 2 pick for Durant? That's Homer status, bro. No lie. Brother, I had Giannis going to this team yesterday. So if you want to see Homer status. I think it's on the table. Like there's a trade with KD and the Spurs. It seems like that's going to be one of the more likely destinations. Who knows what the value is? Probably not get the number 2 pick, but it's worth taking a look at a player like Dylan Harper out of Rutgers, a freshman guard, 19.5 points per game, 4.6 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, shot 57.4% from 2, 33.3% from deep, averaged over a steal per game as well. A no doubt lock, second pick for me behind Cooper Flagg. This 6'6", 215-pound point guard, Steven, just has everything in his bag.
Yeah, he's fleet-footed. He's athletic. He can go both directions. He has no issues pulling up or playing in catch and shoot, operating in pick and roll, creating his own shot in isolation, playing in transition. He's limitless, quite literally limitless, and just a ball of talent. I think the energy he plays with also raises the floor for everybody that's on the court with him too, infusing confidence in players and putting them in position to play to their strengths and things like that. He's very fun, very fun. And if the Suns could pair a guard like him with Devin Booker, that would be prolific.
It would be an incredible backcourt of the future. I'm really high on this guy walking in here and just automatically making a difference on an NBA level. I mean, is he going to be this good on an NBA level? Probably not right away, but the size for a guard reminds me a lot of what we saw at Cade Cunningham in college. You know, his playmaking is good. He's got great eyes. He loves making passes on the move. He can hit off-balance shots as well, take it to the paint, use either hand. He's a lefty. You were saying you added the Cade comp. Is that somebody that you would say like maybe ceiling in the NBA is similar to what Cade has been doing out in Detroit?
He plays faster than Cade. I think he plays
shiftier for sure.
Yes, and that's what I'm getting to. He plays to his guard qualities more than Cade does. Guard plays more to forward qualities just because he plays at a tempo akin to Luka more than he does to the pace of someone like Trae Young or De'Aaron Fox, which I think Harper kind of aligns with more. But the impact will still be there. Nonetheless, it'll just be unique to him. But for that impact to come from those shifty guards in the frame that he has, once he learns to play and use his size to an advantage, which he'll have to once he gets to the league level, That's going to be such a problem because of all the other skills he already has.
Yeah. I'm super high on him. It's very long shot that the Suns are able to get him, but if they do, you have your backcourt of the future and your next star beyond Devin Booker, presumably. Very high on him. Much higher on him than I am an Ace Bailey, who's projected to go 3. I like VJ Edgecombe at 4 as well. Is there any other lottery prospect that we haven't talked about today that you're keeping your eyes on?
Nah, we talked about all the ones that I had my eye on. Question for you, though.
Yeah, what's up?
2 and 14 are for San Antonio, right?
Yep.
How realistic is it that they can get 2? Nah, I don't think they'll get both. But how realistic is it?
Very unrealistic.
Yeah.
I think it's very unrealistic, but I wouldn't say it's impossible. But I would say it's pretty unrealistic. So more likely, I think, to get Stephon Castle. Mario has a question. Says Cedric Coward or Carter Bryant?
That's a great question, actually. We've talked about both in our last 2 Wednesday prospect episodes.
I love Cedric Coward. I don't think I'd take Cedric Coward with the top 10 pick. I would take Carter Bryant with a late top 10 pick. I think the earliest I would take Coward would probably be 15.
I was just about to ask, would you take Coward at 14?
Yeah, I'd take Coward at 14.
Yeah. I feel like I would go with Bryant, but not by like 51. 49.
Yeah, I'm not completely shutting down the idea of Coward. Yeah. You've definitely seen a lot more of Carter Bryant, though, from basketball, and he's younger. I think defensively projects to be a much better defender than Cedric Coward offensively.
I feel like it's more of a fit for him with the Suns and where they're trying to
Carter.
Head.
Yeah, I agree.
Than Coward.
I agree, but I do think Carter would be Coward would be a really good pick. Boom Shakalaka says Greg Ostertag is the Suns starting center next season. God, I hope not. Brent says we need a whole Friday episode on Yannick Konan Niederhauser. That is somebody we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I believe, with Joe Jackson, the Feed the Post podcast. To be honest with you, I like Thomas Sorber out of Georgetown, but if we can get a wing like a Rasheer Fleming, or we trade up, get an Asa Newell or somebody like that, I'm more than happy to try to take Yannick in the second round. I think he is going to be a good role player in the league. So I'm with you, Brent. I really like Niederhauser.
I would love if the Suns were able to get one of the wings that we talked about and pair them with Fleming.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you can trade that I forget who it was that brought it up, but getting your 10th pick, trading back with Atlanta for 13 and 22, grabbing a Coward, grabbing a Bryant, grabbing a Neat Clifford who plays like a wing, and then also getting a Rasheer Fleming at 22 would be it'd be a coup. Would love it.
It would be moving in directions that Oklahoma City has over the past couple of years, and pairing but specific to pairing multiple point of attack defenders sprinkled all over your roster.
Wow Factor says, Eric, can we discuss the second round drafts? That's what we're going to be doing next week. Next week, we'll be doing the second round board that we are going to be looking at. The week after that will be the final Wednesday before the NBA draft. We'll give you our ultimate big board, ultimate mock draft, who we want the Suns to take. And in between them, we might get a Kevin Durant trade. And of course, we will be live on draft days 1 and 2, since it is split up, the first and the second round. We'll be live for the entirety of it, because that's just what we do here at PHNX Sports. Again, if you missed our breaking news podcast earlier today, you can check that out. 1 hour of just uninterrupted, uncensored, not really, basketball talk about Jordan Ott and the next head coach of the Phoenix Suns. You can figure out that as well when you can go on your audio feed, where you can also find all of our latest trending podcasts, mini podcasts, and whatnot. If you're missing Espo, Southwest Bias, you talked about Jordan Ott with Mark Stein earlier today. You can also check that out on the Southwest Bias feed on YouTube and on audio. Anything else, Stephen, before we wrap up here?
Nah, just that we've done great work today.
There we go. Put in a lot of work today.
A lot going on.
All right.
Be here, though.
You can follow along with the great work at PHNX_Suns. Of course, read Gerald's article at gophnx.com on Jordan Ott and the recent stuff going on within the Suns organization. You can follow our producer behind the Mac, making all the magic happen, Ayrton at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Steven, don't call him Steve, and Steven PG3. That's Steven with a PH. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. Sean says, SPG speaks no lies. Ted says, thanks for the show. You guys speak no lies. Well, maybe some of you.
Y'all.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.